All right, everybody, welcome. We've got a few people still trickling in here, but we're going to kick this thing off. We're excited to hang out and chat with you guys today. We're going to be covering 4 tactics you need in sales and marketing in 2021 this year. So we've got a lot of stuff to bring to you guys, a lot of things that we want to chat through. Uh, Housekeeping first, we are recording this thing. We will be sending it out to you guys afterwards, and you'll have it in your inbox to review and to share with colleagues, all of those good things. We also will save time at the end for a Q&A. So if you guys have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat. We've got some one-day team members who are there to gather those, and we'll be answering those at the end if we can. Before we jump into the slides, we're going to do some quick introductions, and I'm actually going to let Carly introduce herself first.
I'm Carly, Carly Kincaid. If I've worked with a couple of you, you may know me as Carly Pelham. I have been with One Day for about 2 years, and I work with many of our customers. So we've talked a lot about these 4 tactics so far heading into 2021. So really excited to share them with you today, and handing it back over to Carter for his introduction.
All right, I'm Carter Severns. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at One Day, and I've been at One Day for a little over a year now. So I have the pleasure of serving our marketing team, as well as working really hard to keep our sales team busy and our CS enablement happening as well. I'm excited today because some of the things we're going to be talking about, or really everything we're going to be talking about, are things that we not only preach for our partners to do, but these are things that we do at One Day in our sales and in our marketing efforts. These are things that we actually practice day in and day out. So we're going to be pulling back the curtain a little bit and showing you some of the things that we actually do internally, in hopes that you guys can take some of these things and apply them in your everyday. So we're going to jump in right now to a quick poll, or a quiz, if you will. I know maybe you guys didn't sign up to be tested today, but let's do a little knowledge test here. So a true or false question. Viewers retain more of a message when they watch it in a video compared to when reading it in text. Now, some of you might have seen this in some of our social and email before this webinar, but we wanted to resurface it because we want to touch on it really quickly. So that poll is open somewhere. I don't know if we're seeing the answers coming in or not. I can't see. Okay, we are seeing it. All right, we'll just give this another second. I think everyone should get the answer right, hopefully, given the title and nature of this webinar. But let's go ahead and jump to the answer. What's the answer here? Okay, 112 answered correctly, 97% true. What's the stat here for us? Viewers retain, there you go. Go ahead, Carly.
Viewers retain 95% of a message when they watch it in a video compared to 10% when reading it in a text.
Love it. So it's interesting. It's the way the human brain is wired, right? That's the way we learn and retain information. So let's jump into our first tactic here. So engaging through storytelling. I think a lot of times people hear storytelling and maybe they get overwhelmed and they think it's this really complex process. And so for that reason, let's go back to video storytelling basics. This is really the simplest form factor, or the simplest structure of storytelling. So on this first bullet, we're going to be talking about the way that you can kind of lay out these 3 sections of a video. And I say video, but really this is the structure of every storytelling process that's ever been made. So every movie you watch, every book you read, most of the songs you listen to even, they're kind of structured in this way, right? There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. And if you want to go back to thinking about it in the form of like a play or a musical, an act 1, an act 2, and an act 3. And this has been around literally for centuries. I mean, this is not anything new, but it has been iterated and evolved on. But I do think this is a really good place to start when you're thinking about what am I going to put in this video? We hear it all the time from partners. They say, I want to make video. I know it's powerful. I know that it drives connections and a real genuine personality in video, but I don't know where to start. Well, here's a great place to start. When you start thinking, okay, what am I going to put in this video? Well, let's think about what's the beginning, what's the middle, and what's the end going to be. And on this next bullet point, you'll actually kind of see what happens in each one of these act 1, act 2, and act 3. So act 1 is the setup. We're creating this scenario for the viewer or the reader or the listener. We're basically bringing them into the fold on what's going on, right? We're laying the groundwork. We're setting the stage for what's to come. In act 2, we consider that the conflict, or maybe that's just the journey that someone's going to go on, right? Conflict maybe is a little bit strong, but more or less, it's the path that's going to be taken after you understand the situation, right? Your main character, your protagonist, is going to go through this conflict or go through this journey towards Act 3, a resolution, right? A solution to the problem, tying everything up in a nice little bow at the end of Act 1 and Act 2. And then how does this actually work in action, right? So the next section here is what happens in these stages. As the viewer, I start to get engaged, right? I mentioned this earlier, but it's human nature to start to be drawn into a story, right? You start to feel like you're included, you're a part of what's going on, and then you begin to wonder what's going to happen. What are the next steps, or what's the progression going to be? So as I'm watching and I'm learning in this, this engaged stage, then I feel included, like I mentioned, right? So as the journey continues, you feel like you've become involved in it, and that's a really powerful thing that happens even in videos for your sales and marketing, right? Your viewer, they become a part of it. They feel like they're going through this process with you in your videos. And then what we always say in Act 3, the resolution or the solution, but also have a call to action. Have something that then the viewer can act upon. They've been a passive person in this process, I guess I'll say, through the engage and include stage. But now, as they've gone through that journey with you, you're giving them opportunity to take some sort of action there in that third part of it. So what I want to touch on here really quickly is maybe something that you guys are familiar with. And when I said that this has been around for centuries, think about Romeo and Juliet, right? The core of storytelling. There's this simple couple who are not supposed to love each other. Let's just leave it as simple as that. That's the story, right? How many times has that been reused and reiterated? Think about, I wrote them down here. Let me make sure I say these right. So West Side Story is one, Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas. All of them have that same story, just in a different skin, a different light, a different version. The reason for that is because it's powerful. People get involved in that. They want to continue to be a part of that story, even though they've heard it a million times, but it's a different version. They get involved. They want to go along that path. So that's something to think about here is how do you use this centuries old structure of storytelling to get people involved in what you're trying to accomplish in your videos and your content. So really quickly, we're going to skip to kind of an example video here, right? So this is Jeff. I love Jeff. He is one of what we call like a one-day power user. I mean, he gets after it on videos. He's constantly creating videos. His LinkedIn feed is just filled with different one-day videos of him interacting with people in his community or residents or the staff there at his community. And he just does a really good job of leaning into video as a storytelling platform. And so he was on this Creator Stories podcast, and he got asked the question, essentially, what is it that makes storytelling so powerful? So instead of me talking about it, I'm going to let Jeff share a little bit about what he thinks about storytelling through video.
Why do you think it is that some community directors, marketing directors at communities are hesitant to leverage the power of video in their own marketing and storytelling?
It's a good question. I guess, not everyone is as comfortable getting in front of the camera as the next person. But even beyond that, because it's not about you, it's about the story.
Sure.
And we have to remember that. So you never actually have to be on camera per se to do this. Just take your camera, turn it the other way, and capture the moments of the experience of the community. Because guess what? The families at home, they don't care about you, the salesperson, right? Or the director. They want to see their mom or dad. That's what we're selling, is mom or dad being interactive. And I think maybe some folks don't understand that. And again, I mentioned about having that nose for news. It kind of sinks back to my day it goes back to my day at Columbia College, where I was learning about journalism, the who, what, where, when, and why. And if you have some of that instinct, I think you would understand that more naturally than not.
So that's a great analogy, a great example from Jeff. So to recap, tactic number 1, engage through storytelling. So when you go to create that video, set the scenario for the person, the viewer, take them along that journey as you walk towards that resolution. And then at the end, show them the solution, show them the resolution to it, and then give them an opportunity to take action. So now we'll move on to Carly for tactic number 2 here.
I love that phrase, nose for news. That's great. Tactic number 2 is personalize as much as possible. So here is an eye-opening statistic for you. 80% of people are more likely to purchase a product or service from companies that personalize their marketing. So everybody would love to personalize every interaction and have every interaction be personalized for them. The problem with personalization is sometimes it can take a lot of time. Just personalizing follow-up emails can devour entire work days for your team. So video is a much faster personalization tool that also happens to engage at deeper levels than your traditional email and phone calls. Really, you can create a personalized follow-up video that addresses multiple questions that it would take 5, 6 paragraphs in an email to. And similar to what Carter was just talking about, video is often much easier to engage in that storytelling piece and truly shines throughout your messaging because it naturally lends itself to storytelling, to emotion, to those human connections. And those are just traits that phone and email will never be able to replicate. In our second bullet point here, increasing your response and move-in rates, these are the results that we want to see, right? So we actually have one of our clients being quoted saying, we are seeing great results where we're using personalized videos in sales, including a 3x move-in rate for prospects who've sent a personalized one-day video to in the process. So not only is it moving the needle with your follow-ups and more engaging, meaningful, and making those lasting connections, but you're also going to get the results that you want, which is increasing your responses and your move-in rates. So I'm actually going to show you 2 example videos coming up here, and both of them are from our team. So this first one is from Kate on our sales team, and we all know how much an alma mater can mean to the people that we're working with, to anyone. And so she knows the prospects alma mater and is referencing that in this video and does it very well. So we'll go ahead and play this example video from her.
Hey there, it's Kate from One Day. I know it's been a while since earlier this year when we last connected, and I'm sure you're also intrigued about why a Wisconsin Badger fan is playing with a football from alma mater. And the answer is, I'm really not quite sure where I got this football, but what I do know is that we're in the 4th quarter and you have 1 play left. Are you gonna go for the safe bet, kick the field goal to tie, or are you gonna go ahead and win the game? And here at One Day, we have the perfect play. It's nothing that you've seen before. So I'd love to reconnect with you, hope we can jump on a call soon, and I hope you both have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
So something important to note here is Kate did not say anything inappropriate. She did such a good job of personalizing that video that we had to bleep out the prospects' names and specific informational details on them. So she did everything that she needed to. We had to bleep it out so much, but nothing was inappropriate about that. She's just doing a great job at personalizing that video to the point we can't share it over a public forum. The next example video is from Cameron, another member of our team here, and his prospect person that he's talking to just got married, and so he wants to help celebrate with that prospect. And again, we are going to bleep out those names and that information. He's not saying anything inappropriate, just protecting that personal information.
Hey, how's it going? Cameron here with One Day. Thanks so much for carving out time this morning to jump on a demo. Enjoyed our conversation, and I look forward to the opportunity of working with you and helping you guys grow here in the near future. And given that this was a big weekend for you, I thought I might as well celebrate. I found this little mini bottle of champagne in my fridge, so I thought, gotta pop the top if I can. Oh, there it goes. Oh, no it didn't. This is embarrassing. I imagine this going a lot smoother in my head, but congratulations on this weekend. So here's a quick toast to you and your groom. I know it's a little early there, but it's noon here in Dallas, so cheers. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
My favorite thing about that is there is no way that that video could have ever caused the same interaction, the same emotion through an email, right? Many layers of connections and rapport that you could have later on in your interactions with that prospect. Again, bleeping it out because that is the personal information there. But that is tactic number 2. Carter, did you have something?
Yeah, I gotta throw this out there. So I think people sometimes think their video has to be perfect and polished and rehearsed, and they need like a teleprompter and lights, and it needs to be this beautiful production. This is a great example of making it real. It wasn't perfect. He couldn't get the top off, and he calls it out and just makes that a natural interaction. And I think us as human beings, we connect with that. Like we realize that, oh, he's struggling with it. That's funny. And instead of him going and getting another bottle and re-recording it or doing something like that, he just went with the flow. And I think it's fantastic. I think sometimes we feel like it has to be this perfect thing, and we can't fumble over our words, and we have to say it all perfectly. It's just not who we are as human beings. So it does not have to be perfect. In fact, I would encourage people to keep these videos, make them personal, make them real, because again, when you're sending to that recipient, you can relate to that. So that's something I wanted to add there, just a little fun fact for it.
Yeah, a lot of times the ones that are perfect aren't as fun as the ones that are not.
Yeah.
So that's it for tactic number 2. We're going to kick it back over to Carter for tactic number 3.
All right, tactic number 3 is taking your content marketing to the next level. So this is for a lot of the marketers on the call here today. But let's talk through how video impacts, your ranking from a technical SEO perspective, and as well as your reach across different marketing channels. So this very first one is some technical SEO stuff. So I'm going to get a little fired up here, I'm afraid, because I see this happen all the time, where people will throw this out in a sales message that just says video increases SEO. And that honestly, in and of itself, isn't true. If you just put a video on a blank web page, Google's not going to know what that video is. Google can't crawl the content of someone speaking on a video. Now you could pick up a title and a meta description, and maybe if you're doing some technical, structured data and JavaScripts to tell Google what the content of the video is, maybe it can start to form, Google indexing the page can start to think about what is on the page. But without doing some of these other things that support the video on the page, you aren't actually going to increase your search engine optimization. You're not going to be telling Google, hey, this content on this page is relevant. So let's go through some of these technical SEO things that actually matter when we're talking about putting a video on a web page, right? When you put that video on the page, you need to support it with some sort of text, whether that's a transcript of the video on the actual page, or if you write a blog post that is also recapping what's in the video. Then you're giving Google some actual tangible text and script to crawl and index, and then start to form, okay, I know that this page is about the best amenities at a senior living community in Dallas. Let's say that's the example page you're trying to build. If you don't have any of that text to support it, Google doesn't know what that page is about, really. It can take a few snippets from the video, like I mentioned, but here's some other things that actually do impact this SEO. If you've got a video on there and you've got a blog of 500 words that supports that video, someone takes the time to watch a 2-minute video, read the 500 words, well, that's time on page. That does impact your SEO. Google sees that person is staying on that page for a long amount of time. Another thing that you could do is link to another relative piece of content that also has a video and also has written text. Then you're talking about multiple pages per session. So the number of pages someone goes to when they come to your website. That is a ranking factor for Google. They will see that someone's spending more time on your website interacting with your content. And then ultimately, as you keep people on your page, on your website, on your pages longer, your average session duration will go up. That's a ranking factor for SEO. So there are some things here that are actually, technically that can happen through video, but just slapping a video on a landing page, that in and of itself doesn't have much impact on your SEO for your website. The next piece of this for content marketing, and this next bullet here is have a purpose for your content, and then repurpose that content. So let's talk through what that means really quickly. Let's go back to our example. Senior living amenities in Dallas. So if we have a video talking about all the amenities that your community has to offer, that's the purpose of that video, right? But what are all the other ways that video could be used throughout your different channels, right? So you could cut that video up into different little snippets and share it on your social media. You could write out an entire blog post about that video and post it on your blog and share that on social media. You can also use that blog in your email marketing or for your sales team to use for prospects in their email. You can also put that into a monthly newsletter if you have one. There's so many different things that you can use this content for once you've had that original purpose. Don't forget that it can live in a lot of different other places. You can use testimonials from residents on your website, on your social media, in your sales process, on your blog. There's a million different places that content can be used. So if you're thinking about taking the time to create a video, think about everywhere else that video could live on your different marketing channels, and take the time to repurpose it for that, so you get the most legs and the most reach out of that initial video effort. And the last piece we're going to talk about here is meet people where they are. So this refers to both where they are online, but also where they are in the buyer's journey. So as you take the time to create all of these videos that have a purpose, right? Talking about the amenities of your community. If someone is on Facebook, make sure you've shared it there so that they see it. If they are checking their email, make sure you've emailed it to them so they can see that there. If they're perusing your website, make sure it's easily accessible on your site. People want to interact and consume content in the way that they feel most comfortable. So if that means they want to watch a video, make sure there's a video to watch. If someone's like, oh, I don't want to watch a video, I'd love to just read this. I prefer reading for whatever reason. If they want to listen to it in the car on the way to work, or if they want to listen to that video while they're shopping for groceries, you want to be able to make this content as accessible as possible for wherever people are online. The second half that I mentioned was make sure you've got content for every stage of the buyer's journey. If they're just considering, moving mom into senior living, we don't want to deep dive into pricing and comparison. We want to just start to educate them on why it's an incredible experience and how they're going to be surrounded by other residents who are in the same walk of life as them. All these top of the funnel type of things that you want to meet that person there, as opposed to bottom of the funnel, which is a very, one-to-one type of conversation. Use video to create content for every stage of that buyer's journey. That empowers your sales team to have that content that they can share readily, and they know, oh, if I get this question, I've got these 3 videos and these 2 blog posts that I can share with them to make sure that I'm answering all the questions that they have throughout those different stages. So we're going to jump into a couple example videos. These are both examples that I think, here's the video, right? But where are all the other places that this could live? Let's write a blog post about it. Let's share it on social. Let's get it in our email. So let's jump in. Just these two quick videos that I think are good examples of how content can be purposed and then repurposed.
Hello, I'm Daniel Rataco, Director of Food and Beverage here at the Allegro Harrington Park. I have over 15 years of experience in the hospitality industry, most recently as a Director of Food and Beverage at the St. Regis, New York. Prior to that, I was at the Ritz-Carlton Central Park as the Executive Chef. These are 2 iconic 5-star, 5-diamond hotels. I have an extensive background in food and beverage, and I'm looking to bring a touch of luxury to Allegro Harrington Park. Cheers.
Awesome video there. Definitely pretty creative with the sword and the champagne, but really it's a great opportunity for him to share his experience, and that could be a great thing to use in sales process elsewhere on your website. So let's skip to the next one here. We're getting a little short on time.
Hey friends, it's Lisa Jane with the Harmony Collection at Roanoke Assisted Living, coming to you from inside our newly designed exercise room. Would you like to see it in person? You can. We're open for visits. I just need you to do a few things before you arrive. Number 1, be sure you're wearing a mask. Number 2, we're going to do a quick temperature check at the front concierge desk. And 3, get some hand sanitizer and we're all set. We're ensuring everyone's safety with enhanced cleaning techniques as well as screenings of every resident, family member, visitor, and staff member. Call me today to set up a tour of this beautiful community for yourself.
All right, I'm going to pass it over to Carly for tactic number 4 here.
Such a great example video there. Tactic number 4, showcasing your brand and personality. So video helps drive authenticity and trust from your audience. So I am going to hit you with another statistic here. 90% of your customers say authenticity is essential when choosing which brands to like and support. Similarly, 81% of the audience says they must be able to trust a company before they do business with them. So very, very important that they're able to trust you and that they like you. So referring back to the emotional connections that video content is uniquely able to provide for us, it really opens the window between your company and the audience that you're serving. It gives them a glimpse of not only the things that you want to tell them, but it can also give a glimpse into the type of company that you are, your vision, your mission, your goals. This might not be within your comfort zone if you're new to video marketing, but it's so powerful in establishing authenticity and trust. Not only for the people, your audience that you're serving, your prospects and your client base, but also like point 2 and number 3, also for the people that want to work with you. It's just as important for those employees that they want to work with somebody that they trust and somebody that they like. So also leveraging video on that side to retain and get top tier talent, and then fostering those genuine communications across employees, teams, and company levels all the way across the organization. We've got one example, a video here that really showcases this particular thing, a sit down one-on-one with an executive that you wouldn't be able to get normally, that really showcases what the company stands for here.
Hey guys, this is Doug Lassard, Chief Operating Officer. I'm here today in Lakeway getting my COVID vaccine. You've done this before, right?
We've done plenty today.
All right, good.
This is our first week of COVID vaccine, but
All right.
we've done plenty today.
And I'm excited to be one of the first. Hope you can tell I've been working out during the pandemic here. Do I get a lollipop when we're done?
No, not today. We'll
Okay.
3, 2, 1. And that's it. First dose
That's
of the
it.
COVID
I didn't even
vaccine.
feel it. It felt great. So I encourage you all to get the vaccine. Here at Lakeway, they had almost every resident get the vaccine and over 60% of the staff. So important thing to remember is that the first vaccine clinics is when we have the most dosages. So sign up early and be part of the first group so that you get the opportunity to be vaccinated. We care about you guys, and we care about your safety and your families, and of course our residents. So get vaccinated as soon as you can. Thank you guys.
I love that video because he has some jokes, he's showing his personality, and also a very important message that he wanted to share with everyone else.
All right, so we are right at time here. If everyone would like to hang around, we'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone has. But here are a few key takeaways, right? So we're talking about the way that the market and the way that people are interacting in senior living is changing, right? So using video, it has become even more prevalent. It's going to continue to be that way. So embrace that shift. Lean into the way that things are changing. And I think as Carly's quote showed, you'll see the results of that. The next one is focus on what matters for your audience, right? This is about personalizing and making sure that you have the content for them in the right places when they need it. And then lastly, it's making that experience a memorable one and one that is personal. So the personalization piece is what makes video unique. You can send that a one-to-one to an actual person from you. And we know that video is much more memorable than text. So the last couple of bullets here, the final one here, be on the lookout. So we have 6 additional tactics that we didn't even talk about today that are in this ebook that we're going to be sending out to everyone who registered. So we talked about 4. There's another 6 that we're going to share with you guys in that ebook as a thank you for showing up and hanging out with us for a little while today. So I'm going to check and see, do we have any other questions? Do we have any questions or Q&A or things that we'd like to answer here?